All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon, and in this video, we're going to talk about an announcement that Errol Spence Jr. made, or some information he shared, which relates to what he will be doing next, and it could still be fighting Terence Crawford eventually. Errol Spence Jr. is a better man than me. Let's talk about that in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon, and in this video, we're going to be in the 147-pound division, updating you on Errol Spence, who's speaking out yesterday, pretty much for the first time, I guess maybe for the second time, after Terence Crawford pulled out on the negotiations with him for an undisputed fight at 147 pounds for Errol's WBA, WBC, and IBF belt, and Terence Crawford's WBO belt. As we know, Terence Crawford pulled out of the bout last minute after they thought that they had a deal, or the PBC thought they had a deal with Terence, and decided to fight David Avancian on December 10th. Now, before I get into what Errol Spence Jr. said in a tweet, let me welcome you back to the channel. If you are new to the channel, please accept my invitation to hit that subscribe button, hit that bell icon so you can be notified of when we release more videos. And if you're a longtime supporter, like the biggest supporter on the channel, my man, John Bowie, thank you very much for your support, your consistent support in the super chats and in the cash apps and in the super thanks that you can do below the video. It really does make a big difference and keeps the channel going. Don't have a lot of sponsors for this channel, so we're able to say what it is that I actually want to say about boxing. So you guys consistently coming by and support really does keep the channel going. So thank you. All right, so let's get into this. Errol Spence Jr. has not given up on the Terence Crawford fight. And if what he tweeted is true, it seems as if he may very well be staying at 147 pounds for even longer to get the bout with Terence Crawford. Now, why do I say that? Because of a tweet that went out, it was actually a response to a tweet where there was a graphic shown on Errol Spence Jr.'s, that's on an Errol Spence Jr. t-shirt. It has 4 doors, and each one of the doors says WBA, has the sanction, a different sanctioning body on each one of the doors. The first door, I think, says, I don't recall the exact order, but say the first door says WBC, and it's closed, and it has a belt on it. The next one says WBA, and it's closed, and it shows the WBA belt. Likewise, for the third, shows the IBF belt, door shut with the IBF belt, and then it has the Grim Reaper knocking on the door for the WBO, and initials TC are on the door, right? Knocking on the door. And so Errol Spence Jr. had announced that, he has an announcement coming up, big announcement, that somebody responded and said, yeah, well, too bad it's not this one, pointing to the door with the Grim Reaper and Terence Crawford with the WBO. And Errol Spence Jr. responded, that's all right. I'll spin the block. Now, if you don't know what spin the block means that he's just going to make another loop around, right? Now, if he's going to make another loop around, what does that mean? Well, he's going to have to take another loop around if he wants to fight Terence Crawford based on all of these mandatory challenges that he has. He just over the last week or so has had the IBF mandatory in Jaron Ennis petition the IBF to force the fight with Errol Spence Jr. You also had the president of the WBC say that he is going to be ordering the WBC mandatory at the next convention. That next convention, it very well could be Keith Thurman that they ordered to make the fight. Most likely, that's the most likely guy or the highest likelihood because that is a WBC, because he's the number one in the WBC. And then you have another mandatory that is due to him, but that is due with Amanda Stanionis for the WBA. Like when you hold three major championship belts, you wind up having three mandatories. And because of the Errol having had, he just won the WBA, just won it in April, right? But the WBC, he had not. I thought that the WBC mandatory was satisfied with Danny Garcia. That must not have been a mandatory. And then you had the IBF, which he did satisfy, but hasn't fought a mandatory in like 4 years. So he's going to have to circle around that block in order, up until the point in time, I guess, where Terence Crawford is ready to fight him. So if he says that he's willing to do that, that means he would probably have to stay at 154 pounds. Also, man, I'm going to tell you, man, this guy is a dead set dude for trying to get that bout done with Terence Crawford. Saying this, if he's true to his word and he doesn't move to 154 pounds, man, people should not be doing a whole lot of talking about what this guy is willing to prove and what he's willing to do, in a boxing ring. Because this is a guy that just continues to take on tough tasks. And even though Terence Crawford jumped out of negotiation, for him to be willing to circle the block and come back and fight him again just tells you how dedicated he is to trying to get that undisputed title. Also, the further we get away from the Terence Crawford actually pulling out of the fight, before my own personal mentality was like, man, I don't want to do this anymore. Let's just move on, fight some other people so we don't have to continue to talk about this fight that never seems like that is going to get made. Not saying that just because Errol Spence Jr. wants it, that means that it will, because I think if Terence Crawford, didn't accept it the first time to go off and do something else, he very well may do it again. But I think he'll have a lot harder time doing it, if Errol sparks up the talks again and continues to push to try to get that bout. However, I will also say this, that there's nothing promised in boxing when you don't go straight to those type of bouts, right? Terence, I think the only guy that Errol would have a chance to beat Errol, or a reasonable chance to beat Errol, is Jaron Ennis. I don't think I think Errol will beat Keith Thurman. I don't think there's Keith Thurman doesn't really like them body shots. Keith Thurman's got heavy hands though, right? Heavy hands. But, he has not, I don't think that he really is at the prime and is necessarily the best Keith Thurman that he's been. But I will tell you that I do think that is probably a good fight and a better fight than a lot of people think. Stanionis, from what I've seen of Stanionis, I don't think that's going to be much other than it'll be a very entertaining fight, because Stanionis is going to be there throwing with Errol. Errol's going to be trying to go with him. And more than likely, that's going to turn out into a knockout. But Jaron Ennis is the one where that's the real, man, what's going to happen type of situation, because you've got a current top level welterweight against a guy that, has all the looks of being just a mega special talent. But, hopefully if we get to see all of these fights, then Errol Spence Jr.'s career would just be off the chain, definitely off the chain, and he just would deserve a ton of credit. So anyway, I hope that's the case. That's what my thoughts are. You let me know what you think in the comment section. And with that, I'm out. Peace.